The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Lieutenant Rhea Holt entered, a small bundle of fur tucked against her chest. The assembled delegates, a mixture of crystalline Zytharians, towering Krellids, and gelatinous Vorns, turned their various sensory organs toward the human with undisguised curiosity. Another pet, Ambassador Quixtal, clicked through his translator, his mandibles spreading in what passed for Krell amusement. Humans and their need to domesticate every creature they encounter. Pathetic sentimentality. Rhea's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. She adjusted her grip on the sleeping cub, a Tavi, rare beyond measure, rescued from a dying colony ship 3 cycles ago. The youngling's 6 legs twitched in dreams, its iridescent scales catching the chamber's artificial light. The human brings an infant to a diplomatic session. Counselor Vershana's aqueous form rippled with disdain. This is precisely why your species lacks the discipline for leadership roles. You blur the lines between duty and emotion. The cub's colony was destroyed, Rhea said evenly, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. I'm the only parent figure Tavi has known. Would you prefer I abandon a child? It is not a child, Quixtal insisted, his voice dripping with condescension. It is an animal, a beast, that you cannot differentiate between sentient obligation and primitive attachment. Demonstrates your species' fundamental weakness. The other delegates murmured agreement. Humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 2 decades, newcomers in a civilization spanning millennia. Their strange customs, their emotional volatility, their inexplicable tendency to form bonds with other species, remained subjects of mockery in council corridors. Rhea had heard it all before. Humans adopted wounded creatures. They cried over animals in their entertainment media. They kept companions of other species in their homes, calling them family. To the ancient races of the Council, it was incomprehensible foolishness. If the Council would focus on the matter at hand, Rhea said, her patience wearing thin. The trade routes through Sector 7, a commotion at the chamber's entrance interrupted her. 6 armed Krell enforcement officers burst through the doors, their exoskeletons gleaming with military augmentation. Behind them strode Commander Thexril, Quixtal's military attaché. Counselor Quixtal, Thexril announced, we have received intelligence that the human carries a Tavi cub, a species whose genetic material is worth 17 million credits on the black market. I hereby invoke Confiscation Protocol Theta. The creature will be seized for council evaluation. Rhea's blood turned to ice. The hell you will. Lieutenant, this is not a request. Thexril's translator made his voice sound almost bored. Resistance will result in your immediate detention. The cub, Tavi, stirred against Rhea's chest, tiny chirps of distress emerging from its throat. The youngling's eyes, large and trusting, blinked up at her. Something shifted in Rhea's expression. The diplomatic mask fell away, replaced by something far more primal. No, she said simply. Quixtal's mandibles clacked with irritation. Human, do not be foolish. You cannot possibly believe the first Krell soldier reached for the cub. He never completed the motion. Rhea moved with a speed that shocked every being in the chamber. Her hand locked around the soldier's primary joint, and with a practiced twist she dislocated it. The Krell's weapon clattered to the floor as he shrieked. She caught it mid-fall, swinging it like a club into the faceplate of the second soldier. The chamber erupted into chaos. Protect the cub, Rhea growled, pressing Tavi into a reinforced alcove behind the human delegation's platform. The youngling's frightened cries tore at her heart, but she couldn't stop now. Stay down, baby. Stay down. 3 more soldiers converged on her position. Rhea's military training, honed through humanity's brutal history of warfare, took over. She ducked under a stun baton, drove her elbow into vulnerable thorax plating, and used her opponent's momentum to send him crashing into his companions. The council delegates scrambled for exits, their earlier superiority replaced by naked fear. They had never seen a human truly angry before. Stand down, Thexril roared, drawing his own weapon. You are outnumbered. I don't care. Rhea's voice was arctic. Blood dripped from a cut above her eye where a glancing blow had landed. You're not touching that cub. She didn't wait for his response. Rhea launched herself across the distance, closing the gap before Thexril could fire. Her attack was savage, efficient, and absolutely merciless. Every strike targeted weak points, every movement designed for maximum damage. Within 90 seconds, all 6 soldiers and their commander lay groaning on the chamber floor. Rhea stood among them, chest heaving, her uniform torn and stained. She turned to face the council delegates who remained frozen in the doorways, staring at her with what could only be described as terror. "Let me explain something," Rhea said, her voice dangerously soft. "You mock humans for bonding with other species. You call it weakness, primitive attachment, foolish emotion." She walked back to the alcove, gently lifting the trembling Tavi into her arms. The cub immediately buried its face against her shoulder, seeking comfort. "But here's what you don't understand about humans," Rhea continued, stroking Tavi's scales with infinite gentleness despite her bruised knuckles. "When you threaten something we've chosen to protect, whether it's family, friend, or a creature that depends on us, you're not revealing our weakness. You're triggering something that made us apex predators on a death world." She met Quickstall's eyes directly. The Krell ambassador had pressed himself against the far wall. "Humans don't just have pets," Rhea said. "We have pack bonds. We have protective instincts that evolution burned into our DNA through a million years of protecting our young from predators. And when you threaten our pack, when you threaten a child we've sworn to protect, you don't face a diplomat anymore." She smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "You face a monster that climbed to the top of the food chain by being willing to fight anything that threatened its family, even if it meant fighting to the death. Especially if it meant fighting to the death." The chamber remained silent. "So yes," Rhea concluded, "mock our pets if you want. Mock our emotions. Mock our bonds. But pray you never ever find out what happens when you threaten something a human has decided to love." She turned and walked toward the exit, cradling Tavi close. Not a single delegate moved to stop her. Behind her, Counselor Vershana's voice rippled quietly through the chamber. Perhaps we have underestimated the humans." Quickstall, still pressed against the wall, could only manage a shaky click of agreement. The next day, the Council formally recognized humanity's right to protect bonded companions under any circumstances. The vote was unanimous. No one wanted to see what an entire species of protective humans looked like when properly motivated,